Hello everyone, amateur meteorologist FirstinWeather here. It is September 15th, 2019, and this is another forecast discussion video. I'll be talking about the tropical activity and the risks and the outlook for the next few weeks, and also the pattern for the United States over the next couple of weeks or so. So let's get started with the video. This is Tropical Storm Humberto. If you might recall, originally, there actually was the potential for significant impact to the Florida coastline. Luckily, that the track of the storm has the forecasted track shifted well to the east, and there were actually tropical storm warnings for portions of the Florida coastline, and those have since been canceled. And right here, you can see that Humberto is a tropical storm with maximum sustained winds at 70 miles per hour, and it is moving north at 6 miles per hour, and it is expected to slowly take that sharp northeasterly turn and then go out to sea, and it might give some impacts to Bermuda. But again, pretty good news for the United States. Really no impacts at all, maybe a few swells from the Carolinas to Florida, but other than that, nothing really at all. Now here are the sea surface temperature anomalies, and this is from 18Z September 15th, so very recent, just from a couple of hours ago. And as you can see, there's a nice cool pocket of cooler than average water conditions stretching from Florida all the way down to this area right here, and that is because we recently had Hurricane Dorian, and now also Tropical Storm Humberto, and especially from Dorian with that stalling over the Grand Bahamas, that led to significant upwelling right around here. And so we have well below average sea surface temperature anomalies for this area. And that could play maybe a small role for potential tropical systems if they do indeed come in this region over here. And looking to the other portions of the Atlantic, you can see there's a nice cool band stretching from west of Spain that hugs the African coastline and is in this little horseshoe shape, and this could mean something. This could have some impacts for the winter of 2019-2020, and I'll go more into that with my winter discussion videos. But as of now, that could help to limit the tropical storm development and wave development off the coast of Africa, since the waves primarily form in this region right here, and in this area you do have below average water temperatures, which is not good for these waves that come off the African coastline. Now here is the 500 millibar geopotential height. This is for September 21st. And as you can see, there's a nice high right here, or not right there, but more like right here. And so this is really going to help to steer any tropical activity that does indeed form away from the United States and really make that sharp northeasterly turn and go out to sea. And so this is good news again for the southeast, Gulf of Mexico, and also the northeast. If that high was further west, like right around here, there would be a greater risk for these storms to get pressed further south and go like this, or make that turn much later and potentially impact the southeastern coast. Now this is for September 24th, and as you can see, that high is actually shifted further to the east, and so that would encourage an even earlier turn to the northwest and then eventually the northeast. And so it really looks like the tropical storm or hurricane threat for the United States is quite low over the next couple of weeks or so until the beginning of October. Now here is the NAM 850 anomaly GIF I've presented here, and so as you can see, there will be a nice little incursion of cold air, or not cold air, but drier air and seasonal fall-like temperatures that will come in around Wednesday or Thursday, and this will be due to an incoming high pressure that's going to sink slightly further southwest, and this is going to allow for those nice northeasterly winds to pump in, providing a nice little break from the hot and muggy conditions the entire Northeast and Mid-Atlantic saw last week. And so we could see we're going to see some dry air and temperatures running about 2 to 7 degrees below average, so it will be a nice little change to what we've been seeing recently. However, one thing to note is that this cool down will be really limited to only the northeast and areas just west of I-95, because that high pressure will not really be over here pumping in that cooler air for a large area. Rather, it will be slightly further to the east, and this will keep things quite warm and muggy over this portion of the country. Now here is the 700 to 400 millibar relative humidity, and as you can see that a nice pocket of dry air right around here from that high pressure. So things definitely will feel nice, and it will be a welcome break from what we've been seeing recently, which is definitely good news for fall lovers out there. Now here is the GEFS Ensemble 500 millibar geopotential height. This is for September 22nd, and as you can see, there's a little bit of troughing that is indicating in the northwest and western portion of the country, with a little bit of ridging in the east. So it's depicting an area of high pressure right here, and this would promote above average temperature anomalies or warmer than average conditions for this area of the country right here. And this is a pattern that we actually very commonly saw this winter with systems tracking like this, right, providing cold and snowy conditions for these areas while keeping things warm and wet for areas east of that storm track, which is why many areas saw below average snowfall and warmer than average conditions this winter. Now this is the ensemble for September 26th, and as you can see, it has shifted to having a ridge in the west and then a trough in the east, which is different from the pattern we have been seeing, which for the past couple of weeks has been below average temperature anomalies and troughing in the northwest, and it's essentially flipped it. However, there are some signs that the expected cool down for the latter part of September into October is going to be less severe than expected and will be much less prolonged than previously thought. And as you might recall in my last video, I did say that we could see a pretty good cool down from around September 25th to early October, but it looks like now that cool down will be much less significant for areas east of the Mississippi River. Now, this is what essentially shows that. This is the ensemble, GEF ensemble for October 1st. And as you can see, we again have returned to troughing in the northwest, that little trough right here, keeping things seasonal to slightly below average. And then that jet stream goes a little further north like this with that high right here. So pumping in those warm southwesterlies for areas right around here, so above average temperature anomalies for the western portions of the southeast and also the Midwest, and even portions of the mid-Atlantic, with conditions being seasonal to slightly below average in a small area right around here. And this is reflected in the GEFS 2-meter temperature anomalies with, again, below average conditions right here, and then above average temperature anomalies in this region right around here. So if we look at the CFS now, switching gears from the GEFS, for September 15th, it is also showing the ridging in the west and then some slight troughing in the east. I think what I wanted to show for this picture, oh, never mind actually, this is valid from 29th of September to the 6th of October, which is what I wanted actually. Let me erase the ink. So the CFS mean GPH and anomaly is showing ridging in the northwest and then troughing in the east and central portion of the country, and this is completely different from what the GEFS is showing. So it's becoming clear that there is quite a bit of model uncertainty with what's going to happen. And with the GEFS, it's showing cooler than average conditions right here and then warmer than average conditions, while the CFS is completely reversed. So in these situations, it is sometimes better to look at teleconnections, which can give a better idea. But first, here is the CFS temperature anomalies for the same time period. And as you can see, it does reflect that ridging with above average temperature anomalies for this area, with average to slightly below average temperature anomalies right here, where it is hinting at a little bit of troughing. So at the top right here, we have the AO, and as you can see, it is expected to go slightly negative before going positive again for the end of September and the beginning of October. And the PNA, which is positive right now, is going to dip slightly and then go back up to positive. So both of these right here are mixed signals. The NAO and the MJO are being insignificant right now, and so really mixed signals from the teleconnections and also the models. So what this indicates to me is that the cool down that we were expecting to see, for the end of September and the beginning of October will be much shorter than expected and will be much less significant than expected. So you might have a few days with temperature anomalies 5 to 10 degrees below average, but other than that, not a big deal. And then I think after October 1st is when things really get uncertain as to what type of pattern is going to set up. But I think as of now, we could really see anything form. So for the next couple of weeks or so until the latter portions of September, I think things will stay relatively mild for the eastern part of the country, with occasional fall-like seasonal cold shots. Nothing like what we saw 2 weeks ago, or for the past 2 weeks, where we've been seeing temperatures in the 80s and even 90s with hot and muggy conditions, making it really feel like summer. But I do think we aren't going to really see any fall-like cool, crisp air. We're going to see temperatures, 2 to maybe 8 degrees above average on a few days. So maybe on a couple of days, temperatures running a couple of degrees below average. And I think there will also be quite a bit of troughing in the northwest that lingers until the end of September. So definitely not what it was looking like a week to even a couple of weeks ago. But I do think we will see our first, short shot of cooler than average air and fall-like air for the latter half of September, but that will be very short and it really won't be that significant. So that pretty much is it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below. I will have another video coming out next week, and again, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.